Hi, I'm Dr. Ramani, and today's question we're going to try to tackle in this video is, can women be narcissistic?
No. Women? Narcissistic? The nurturers? Get out of here.
Waste their time. By the time we're done, they want to kill themselves. By the time we're done, they want to kill themselves.
That's the big question, because so much of the focus on a lot of what you see online and read about is really sort of bad narcissistic guy and a woman who's suffering. But absolutely, yes, women can be narcissistic. It's a pattern. It's a personality style, and there's no reason it wouldn't happen in a woman as easily as a man. And anyone out there who has a narcissistic mother knows that women can be narcissistic. But there is a difference. Definitely, if I were to sort of spitball, probably 80-20. 80% men, 20% women who are really sort of noticeably narcissistic.
I'm not surprised you think that, considering that you think that any man that is successful is a narcissist.
But you said the book on narcissism could be titled How to Be a Man in Today's World and Succeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would be the
100%.
same exact
It would be the same.
content
It would take a rule book.
But let's break this down. I think what creates narcissism in society is a lack of accountability. Out of men and women, who gets held accountable more? Also, let's have a look at the different symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder. A sense of self-importance, a preoccupation with power, beauty, or success, being entitled, can only be around people who are important or special. You know, don't want to date someone who earns only twice as much as you. Interpersonally exploitative for their own gain. Come on. Interpersonally exploitative for their own gain. Gee. Yeah, that's a tough one. Arrogant, alright, I'll take that one on the chin. Because, you know, I'm mansplaining at this point, so gotta be lumped into that category. Lack empathy. Yeah, won't bring up the 73 million abortions per year. That's that's gonna get my channel banned, isn't it? Must be admired. Yeah. Well, I'll let you guys ponder, out of men and women, who has the most traits out of that.
And part of the reason for that are differences in socialization. Girls and women are much more socialized for empathy, compassion, kindness, playing nice.
They've also been socialized through feminist indoctrination to see all men as misogynist, patriarchal oppressors and to seek further advancement in top-down discrimination against men in education systems, corporations, and the legal system, and consider any opinions that would require empathy towards men that they don't like coming from a calm, confident man such as myself as trigger fuel for narcissistic outrage, with one of their most common slurs is usually calling the man an incel. Because apparently female validation is the only measurement of success, and most women in 2024 are actively seeking out the most vain, manipulative, narcissistic men on dating apps, according to Dr. Ramani's definition at least, while often having disdain for men that express empathy and care towards them because they must be low-value betas, or maybe an abusive psychopath themselves trying to manipulate the helpless women with their kindness.
Sharing feelings and vulnerability. Men are told that those things are verboten or they're not masculine, and so many times get the message from fathers, even mothers, and society.
And also, don't forget, their partners, their sexual partners, the women that reinforce men to, you know, not be too nice. Let's admit it. If you're too nice, what happens? It dries up. That's what happens.
Men, a not uncommon pattern you might see is a narcissistic woman.
A not uncommon pattern, also referred to by people who aren't pushing an agenda as a common pattern. In fact, when we listen to the rest of what she says, it is actually the norm.
Men, a not uncommon pattern you might see is a narcissistic woman who really views her partner as, he needs to do more for you. He needs to pay more attention. You're told you need to pay more attention to me. You need to do more things for me. You need to buy more gifts for me. You need to make more experiences for me. After a while, because you are her source of narcissistic supply, after a while, it becomes really, really exhausting. And again, it's all the same, regardless of the gender. But I think some men will think, I'm going to solve the problem, because men tend to be a bit more problem focused in their approach to relationships. So if I do this, it'll be fine. And in this case, like, great, I'll just keep buying her more stuff. I'll take her on more trips. I'll do everything she asks me to do, and everything will be fine. And just when you think you got it, the ring isn't big enough, the bag isn't nice enough, the vacation wasn't first class enough, her friend got something bigger or better. So you will, as always, as anyone in a relationship with a narcissist will feel, you'll feel like you're not enough.
Well said, totally agree. One simp is not enough for them these days. They want to create an OnlyFans and have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of simps giving them money on a daily basis. And it's reached a point where AI is probably going to take over those jobs, because I could be an OnlyFans content creator in a few years using a special filter that makes me look like a woman. So can your grandpa. Let that sink in. Holy shit. And it's reached a point now where the simp economy is going to be coming to an end forever. And I love it. Not to mention that nowadays, simply buying women things can be considered a form of coercive financial control, manipulation, abuse. And, you know, some people might even go to jail for human trafficking for those reasons. And if you're not the most Googled man in the world, you're probably going to stay there.
And again, a man might actually be more vulnerable to it, because he'll feel like, well, I'll just keep trying. I'll just keep doing what needs to be done.
I think the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. Not happy husband, happy life. So, you know, not uncommon, you know, or the norm.
A narcissistic partner also tends to be rather jealous, again, whether man or woman, but for a woman it may really manifest as being an intense jealousy and flying into rages. And when a woman becomes very violent to a man, they sometimes feel like they're just going to have to put up with it, and they can't report it, as though various institutional officials or law enforcement won't believe them or make fun of them.
Yes, one of the trade-offs of living in a non-violent society where if a man ever hits a woman, it's considered one of the most egregious crimes imaginable and he'll be locked up for decades or something. Even though she may have divorce raped him, stole all of his stuff, turned his son into a girl, fucked his best friend, he can't do anything. And if he does, that's what she wants. It's part of the game. She wants him to go crazy so that he can get in trouble with the law and she can look the victim. So when we live in a predominantly non-violent society where it's seen as a greater crime for a man to hit a woman than a woman to hit a man, or a man to hit another man, or a woman to hit another woman, you're going to have a lot more narcissistic women pushing the boundaries to see what they can get away with. And deep down, in their dark psyche, they want the man to put them in their place. But the man is not allowed to. And that's the game.
Keep in mind, women can abuse their partners physically, emotionally, and verbally. Again, no gender boundaries there. It can happen in either direction.
No, it can't happen in either direction, because if a woman hits a man, no one's going to give a shit. And if a man hits a woman, his life is over. So it can't happen both ways. Definitely not equally. Definitely not 80-20.
So a relationship with a narcissistic woman can be very, very challenging. And just like with the narcissistic men, who are often very attractive, the narcissistic women can also be very beautiful, great bodies, beautiful faces. They've often spent a lot of time on their appearance.
I think part of this phenomenon of associating people that are good looking with being narcissistic is based on you don't really care if an ugly bitch is going to be narcissistic towards you. You just move on to the next one. But if a woman that's really beautiful, not going to get another girl as beautiful as her very easily, and then she's a narcissist, it hurts a lot more. And the women do the same thing with the men. Like Dr. Ramani has said, all successful men, all alpha men, all men that women find attractive are narcissists, even though they're not. And a lot of the ugly men are narcissists, but women don't really care about them because they're ugly, they're invisible.
And so they'll often tick that box that a lot of men want. They want the gorgeous woman. Well, a lot of times you have to be careful, because if she spent that much time on her appearance, it does mean that that superficial stuff is really important to her. Superficiality is a big part of narcissism. So narcissistic women obviously are going to be there. And it seems like as the world changes, social media and seeking validation on social media is getting more and more heft in our culture, that sadly, as we get more and more equal gender roles, there's some wonderful things about it.
For whom? Whom is there wonderful things about it for? The state? Corporation, so they can pay you less? Not women over 35, that's for sure. And it boggles my mind that even though women out-earn men now, they still want to find a man that earns 5 times their salary. The math doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up, guys. And then, they want to marry him. They want to marry him. After all of that, after destroying traditionalism, creating feminism, then they want to marry him. That's the fucked up thing, guys.
But this is one of the sad things about it. We're probably going to see continued upticks in narcissism in women. And really the agony is when narcissistic women do go on to have children, they really aren't able to do the kind of long, day after day, empathic heavy lifting that we need to see in any kind of caregiving or parenting relationship. And over time that does such damage to their children. Children who go into adulthood full of self-doubt, sometimes self-loathing, and definitely the same kinds of feelings of insecurity that their mother had. In essence, that mother has put those into the child. So yep, women can be narcissistic. I've ran into a lot in my own life. It was not a wonderful experience. Mercifully, my mom is actually not narcissistic at all, so I got very lucky there. But other women who I've worked with and who I've been close to, I've had that experience. It can be destabilizing, and in some ways you almost feel like, what is this? The sisterhood let me down? Like, how could this be happening? Narcissism doesn't know your gender. It just happens. When it happens, it's not pretty. Thanks. Hope you have a good one, and stay non-narcissistic.
But still try and be successful, guys. Don't listen to her. Doesn't mean you're a narcissist to be successful. It's okay. Overall, this woman puts out some decent work. I know all the feminists that got triggered and having narcissistic outrage in the video comment section below aren't even going to make it this far in the video, but I actually don't hate this woman, believe it or not. And the people that will try and say that I hate her are just projecting their own hatred that they have for me, for proving things with logic, and they don't have any arguments in a logical realm, so they try and bring it into the emotional realm. Will try and say that I hate this woman. I don't hate her. She's done some good work, but I'm going to call bullshit when I see it. And, there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of bullshit in this video, but there is definitely an undertone of feminist bleh that I have to point out. So I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.